Random aviation fact for you guys. Did you know that the Strato launch has a wingspan of 117 meters or 385 feet and is capable of carrying payloads of up to 250,000 pounds? It was designed to launch rockets into the orbit from high altitudes. And if you wondered how much 250,000 pounds is, which is what I wondered, it is equal to 20 adult elephants. I don't know why I looked that up, but it was interesting. Coming back to the topic of the video, today we'll be talking about the different factors that affect your flight training costs, and we'll also go over how to save money within the 4 categories that we broke down in the last video. If you haven't checked the last video, please go and watch them. I'll link them somewhere here. I'm new to this, so it might be on one of those corners. And let's begin. Alright, I might have overwhelmed all of you by all the different costs associated with flight training, but it is a costly venture, and I told you I'm going to be real with you. You should and you deserve to know all of this before you start your flight training. And as I said, I wish someone explained it to me this way before I started my flight training. Let's talk about a few factors that will affect this cost of training that we've just discussed. The first one that comes to my mind is location. Location of your flight school where you are training might affect the duration of flight lessons. I told you flight lessons are the biggest expense during your training. If you can shorten your flight lessons by going in and out of an uncontrolled airport versus a class Bravo, then you might be able to reduce your cost of flight training considerably. Then there's the cost of flight schools. Depending on what flight school you select, the rates, the charges that flight school is charging you will vary. There are expensive flight schools out there, and everybody knows that these are expensive. They do have good quality instruction, but they come with a price. If you are able to find a decent Part 61 flight school versus a Part 141 school, you might be able to save a few $1,000s there. But Part 141 and Part 61 have their own pros and cons. Again, it's a separate video, not going to be discussed here. But yes, Part 61 versus Part 141 makes a lot of difference in the training costs associated with them. The third factor, the biggest factor that I think affects anyone's flight training is your dedication, your willingness to get things done quickly. The amount of work that you put into your training will change the course of your training. Cannot be emphasized enough that you are going to be responsible for every step of your flight training process. Yes, a big part is played by the instructor and flight schools as well, but nothing determines the total cost of flight training as much as your dedication and your hard work. I might be an okay example of how you can determine how much you can save, because when I was training, I was not going out. I had no life. All I did was I used to bury myself in books, study, and go fly. Get the ratings done quicker and quicker. That's all I did for 12 months. And I think that's the reason I was able to do it in 12 months. It was a little stressful, but if you manage your time properly, you can actually do it. Now, how to manage your time as a student is again another video that I will put up later. But yes, I'm not bragging, but this is how I saved money. So make sure to talk about all of these different factors, getting a right idea and estimate of how much is it gonna cost for you to finish your flight training. Now let's go on to the next step and the next big thing that the video is labeled for, which is how to save money during flight training. And this is what you came for. I will try to give you as much as I can, but I'll make a few more videos in the future regarding different tips on how to save money. The first one is the flight lessons. I want to keep this slide here because these are the different categories we talked about. Flight lessons. How can you save money during flight lessons? The first one is be prepared for each lesson. Read the procedures, read the POH, read the checklist, read the airplane flight manual. There are a number of resources out there that will help you perform better in flights. Another common way to be prepared for each lesson is to remember what mistakes you have committed in the past and not repeat them in the next lessons. Not all of us are gifted aviators. Not everyone is born with a solid piloting ability, but we can try to be aware of the mistakes that we make and remember the tips that our instructor is providing us to improve upon before the next flight lesson. Second thing is be regular. This cannot be emphasized enough as well. Be regular, fly more often. Only begin your flight training if you know that you will be able to devote a certain amount of time every week or every day towards flight training, and you'll be able to fly more often, especially in the beginning part of your training when you're just starting out trying to learn the airplane and getting used to this environment. Simply, it's just the law of recency. There was someone called Edward Thorndike in the history who created laws of learning, one of which was law of recency. The principle of recency states that things most recently learned are best remembered, and that is true. Conversely, the further you go away from a particular lesson, you forget the things about those lessons, which is very common sense, but it has to be applied in your flight training. So be regular. Other ways to prepare for a flight lesson is by observing or backseating your friends' flights. Sitting on the rear seat of your friend's flight might give you a third eye view of flying procedures, checklist, tips that other instructor is giving to your friend, mistakes that your friend is making. You will learn a lot by backseating and observing. You can also use a simulator to practice procedures before flying them in a real airplane. Because a sim is cheaper than an airplane, you would use that a lot in instrument training. Ground lessons. How can you save money in ground lessons? Saving money on ground lessons is easy. Study hard. Study very hard before you go for every ground lesson. Read the books, read the manuals, etc. Learn everything you can before sitting with an instructor, because when you're sitting with an instructor, you'll be charged based on the time you spend with an instructor. $50 or $90 an hour. You'll be spending that every time you sit with an instructor. Here is where PropelAPilot comes in and helps a lot of students. All of my students have been very happy with the way they use PropelAPilot. Basically, all the video lectures that I have on my website are the same things that your instructor is going to teach you, but they come at a very small fraction of a price. You will be watching these videos, getting prepared before every lesson. You'll end up spending half the time that you would otherwise. So let's say you're instructor and you are going to talk about aerodynamics. If you're already prepared for aerodynamics, you don't have to spend 2 hours with your instructor, because you already know. Your instructor can just quiz you, and if your instructor knows that you have gotten all the concepts ready and you don't have to sit, your instructor would be even more happier to help you get done with your training faster. And that is where PropelAPilot comes in. At PropelAPilot, we are constantly adding more and more lessons, more and more subjects, more and more chapters. For a cheap subscription, you get access to everything on the website. It is a great deal, and I cannot say this enough. It might be hard for you to imagine when you're starting, but spending $50 a month on a subscription like this, compare it to $50 an hour you spend with your instructor, and it helps you save money on ground lessons. So it has a compound effect eventually. Apart from the money benefit, you can rewatch the videos as many times as you want, at your convenience, at whatever time you want, and at whatever time you feel like, and strengthen those concepts. It is a great deal to have. It is a great tool to have on your side. And you can cancel the subscription once you are done with your training. Saving money on the exams. How can you save money on exams? Saving money on exams goes hand in hand with working hard and using PropelAPilot and any other tool that works for you to get the concepts properly. A lot of people use the FAA test prep softwares. I think it's a good idea to invest in those softwares if it helps you get done with the written exam in one attempt. It's very similar to why someone would purchase or get access to PropelAPilot. It's the same way. You don't want to fail your ground lessons, you don't want to fail your exams, so have certain tools that will actually help you perform better and save money in the future. So do whatever it takes to not have longer ground lessons. Do whatever it takes to not fail any exam. Alright guys, so guys, I know this looks like an ad for my website, but it is not. I genuinely believe that spending a little bit amount, investing a little bit in your training, but in good resources like good books, good softwares, websites that help you learn faster and make it easier for you to go and answer questions in a check ride will make your training less stressful, and also it will pay for itself in the long run. I have made a video explaining how someone can use PropelAPilot and make it pay for itself. I will link the video again somewhere here, and you can go and watch this video to understand how this might actually help you save money, much more money in the long run. Please look into that and do your own research. Maybe some other courses are good for you, maybe some other way of learning is better for you. Use that. Invest in a little bit of the resources that might help you save a little on some other front, like don't go out once or avoid eating out once, and spend money on learning and making yourself a well-educated pilot. Then comes the FAA check rides that we talked about. FAA check ride has the examiner fee and the flight fee. If you fail, you have to give both of this again, so it's a big hole in your pocket again, just for you to not be able to pass the check ride. Try your best to not get a letter of disapproval. If you fail the flight portion of the check ride, you will also have to pay for the flight again. Sometimes this might end up costing twice or thrice the amount of what the actual check ride should cost. In the miscellaneous category, there will be a video on this channel coming soon. I've already scripted it and it is in the making, about a few ways in which you can save money, and that also includes in these miscellaneous categories like sharing the headset with your friend while you are doing the training, and then you can purchase your own, and bunch of other tips that I think are very useful and make it very efficient in spending money during your flight training. So make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so that you're notified whenever I put the next video. I hope this video helps you. I hope this video helped you understand what you are getting into or what you're already in. If this video helps you save a little bit of money in your flight training, I would be very happy, because that's the whole purpose of this video. I started PropelAPilot with the idea of helping people save money in their flight training. It should not be as expensive as it is, but it is what it is, and I'm trying to make a change, and I hope you guys support me in it. Thank you. Have a nice day. See you in the next video.